Hello, everyone. Welcome to Socially Radical Guitarist. A song you heard just now was from Alexander Stone and the Rockupiers' eponymous album, The Rockupiers, and the song is called Full Pollution. And yeah. It's Alexander Stone and the Rockupiers song, and he's here with us today. He's going to be, we're going to get into who he is and everything like that, because he turns out he's actually a very good musician. So so just to get started, what made you start playing? How did you get into music?
Oh, well, I've been playing music for a good long time, but actually I would say the influence factor. And like, I love music, obviously. I grew up with 50s and 60s, a lot of British invasion stuff. I listened to the AM radio thinking it was new music, basically, right? I didn't know the difference as a kid, so I kind of grew up in the 50s and 60s in my head a little bit. So the power of music combined with the ability for it to impact change, and that kind of kept me focused on it for all the years.
Oh, beautiful. So how did the Rockupiers start? How'd you find your bandmates? How'd you come up with the name?
It has been a journey and a half trying to get the band going. I just recently moved to the East Coast of Canada. I was in Ontario there for a long time, and then last year I moved out here. Finally, I've done my traveling around the country and hitchhiking all over Canada, east to west, all that kind of stuff. Spent a couple years doing that back in the day, and then I ended up at the Occupy movement, which is now, as of October 15th, it'll be 10 years since the Occupy movement. And in Toronto, I was part of that as much as I could be, being a new person on the scene in that kind of realm. From back then, that's when I got the idea that this movement could be the vessel to keep going. I mean, that's the one that introduced people to the idea of the 99% versus the 1%, right? And that those ideas have still stuck all these years. So being a part of that was a big influence for me, and I knew I wanted to try to find some musicians that shared those kind of ideals, so we could use the music for that type of weapon, if you will. But so I moved to New Brunswick last year, and I'm a pretty social guy, a socialist and social. So I right at the beginning of COVID, when things were still decent out on the East Coast, it was starting to get pretty crazy in Ontario. Here on the East Coast, it wasn't so bad. So there was still a couple little jam spots where all the musicians were piling in because there was nothing else going on because of COVID. And because of that, I got to meet a bunch of good musicians. I would sit in and just play bass guitar, actually, at all the open mics, just getting to know people, backing people up, because that's, it's just fun to back people up. I love doing that too. But I eventually ran into one by one musicians, and they knew a couple of guys, and we've been slamming hard since the end of February. And since that time, we've been grinding about 3 times a week and slamming. I've written a lot of these tunes over the years. So I am the songwriter for the band, but it's just the Rockupiers. I don't like to put my name too much at the forefront of it, because everybody's doing the work in the band. Now we've finally slammed out an album, like after 6 months of being together, 6-7 months of just hardcore practicing and playing a couple gigs. At the end of August there, we started recording, slammed it out in a one-take fashion.
Oh, that's nice. So like, how was it at the beginning when you were playing those gigs? I know we had some conversations where it was a little bit rough. Like, how did the bars treat you? Like, how did the bars treat
It's tough. It's when you're a new band, it is tough I imagine it's the same in the States, but it's especially tough in Canada because all these venues, and every musician knows this, wants a band to play a 4-hour gig, 3.5 hour, 4 hours. You can get maybe squeezing a couple breaks in there. But for an original act, that renders most places incompatible. Because a lot of original bands, you're not going to get them playing for 3-4 hours of original material. A lot of us have an album's worth, or maybe 2 albums worth, which is maximum 2 hours, right? Unless you're Rush, that can do the 3-4 hour gig, and even them, nobody wants to do that, and nobody wants to hear that. Who wants to hear a band for 4 hours? Come on. But yeah, even the Beatles, when they came over, they only played 42 minutes when they came to North America and did what that was their show length. It was like 42 minutes or around that mark. And so the way venues work, they want the 3-4 hours of covers. It's only cover bands pretty much, because that's the only thing that can fit. You might be able to squeeze a couple originals in there, but they've geared people towards hearing just cover music and not original music at most of these venues. Anyway, so it does make it difficult for any original act to find places to pick up the pace and become established. Now we played a couple gigs though at there is always usually the public venues run by the government. So you got the Boardwalk stage here in St. John, funded by the town. And then another place called the Phoenix, which is a very old Victorian, real cool place. I guess they must have just purchased it a few years ago, and they got a really cool thing going. Big organ. You'll see that in some of the pictures if you check out Rockupiers pictures from the Boardwalk gig and the Phoenix gig, and those were our two big gigs right before we started recording. Otherwise, we've done a couple of online things and stuff like that, but. We're going for more shows soon, but it's hard to find gigs, and if you can find the showcase ones like that'll do about an hour, then you're set.
Yeah. So yeah, like I guess it's hard to find a venue that matches your situation as a new band with new original content, and I guess
100%.
yeah, that can get very difficult.
It's almost impossible. Festivals too are good for bands though too as well for original acts.
Oh man. Well, I'm sure the bars at least gave you a fair cut of the like of the people coming in. Did they do that, or?
Well, it depends. If you're lucky enough to get like what we would have to do is we'd have to be an opening act, and we'd be lucky to see a penny off that. Most bands, they'll make about $400 for the 4-hour gig, and 4 or 5 members. Okay, so you get that's about $25 an hour for musicians, right? That's a good pay, but not many hours, right? It's hard to bank all the hours in that when you're traveling from place to place, not getting paid. But yeah, we'd be lucky to see. We did get paid from the Boardwalk gig. Yeah, actually, we got $300 for a good solid hour, and that was really good. That's really good for an original act. In my book, the money is it's important for us to sustain ourselves, but it's if I could do anything to avoid thinking about it, I will.
Yeah. It looks like there's a lot of heart and soul into the album. It doesn't look like money was the first thing on your mind. Very beautiful artistic work. How long did it take to make the music for the album, and how would you describe the creative process that came into it, including the illustrations?
Yeah, the illustrations, that's new for me. Yeah, I made a bunch of lyric posters for each one of the tracks there, which is something different. I'm going to town with all the art side of it. Finally, it's nice to have a creative vessel to put. I'm a massively creative person. If I don't have a project to put all my energy into, I'll go loopy. So I'm always putting all my energy into something. Now I got something I'm doing artwork for, I'm doing music, I got the website, I designed clothing, all that kind of stuff. It was more for fun. We'd be lucky to make $1 off a shirt, the way those models are set up on there with drop shipping and all that jazz. But eventually we'll own some of our own shirts, and we can kick them out that way. But I mean, yeah, that's just the bare minimum, just to sustain ourselves. We're trying to pursue some funding opportunities with Factor, and that there are some grants available, but it's quite the rigmarole to go through and get them. And I've forgotten the question.
Yeah, so I was just asking
don't know if
about
I answered
the
that
album itself, like the creative process.
The album. Yeah, so I started with the artwork there, but the album itself, the music, some of them were written over the course of a few years, and some of them are newer. Like, they're kind of a collection. This is the first album, so I'm kind of collecting some of my best, most appropriate music that for this project, which is my pride and joy project, the Rockupiers. And each one of these tracks is unique in its writing. They're set apart from each other. There's a general sound across the album that you'll hear with the twangy guitars and the mid-range vocals. Some good harmonies in there. We're getting better and better. The second album will be even better. And as we go by the second and third album, that I've had the basis of some of these ideas since Occupy happened. Watching the world and trying to figure out that helps bring people to some of these ideas. So like Fool Pollution, that was written a little while ago, and now it's funny because I actually wrote it before Trump got in power. But to me, the first verse sounds like Trump, and the second verse sounds like it's a testament to how money can rot the brain. The story of Fool Pollution there. And the rest of them are similar. They have an idea that I'm focusing on to try to see through, right? So yeah, Time Traveler is the first song on the album, and that's always been my opening tune, and that that stems from my love of H.G. Wells from the 1895 book Time Machine, and the idea of looking to the future and seeing humanity's in another war and another war and another war, and being able to foresee that that roughness of humanity. So yeah, there's a lot of little things about society and where we're at, and it's kind of in a bubble removed from all the other music going on, I suppose. It's right in the rock and roll realm, so I'm hoping that we're helping not let rock and roll die as well. Right?
Yeah,
and that's the spirit of rock and roll, is to be socially conscious as well. So it's that's always been my religion.
yeah, we definitely got to keep the culture alive, cultural consciousness. I mean, when those 50s, 60s, that was time of very large political movements throughout Canada and the United States especially. So that was a very good period. And instantly going into that period,
looks like it.
What would be your top 5 musicians of that era? Because your music is definitely influenced from there. Who are your top 5 influences from there?
Wow. Because there's I would have to separate that into two: the music and then the words. Because like Paul McCartney is like he's one of them musicians that you're like, holy crap. Like, just being able to play bass and sing like that. I'm the guitar player for the band, but I started on bass, and I do a lot of the bass writing and stuff like that too. And I take a lot of pride in the bass within our music. And I would say, yeah, Beatles for sure, because of their just cutting edge bass aspects of the music. Obviously Bob Dylan, like, 1962, he's busting out Masters of War, right? That's mind blowing, right? For that time period to be releasing something like that was daring, and that caused other people to be daring. So there's lesser known musicians like Phil Ochs, who is kind of a Bob Dylan-esque guy, and really more communist than socialist. I recommend check him out. Phil Ochs, Ochs, a really great singer. He died young from something too, but real powerful voice, like kind of Woody Guthrie times two. Yeah, influence wise, yeah, all the old rock and roll stuff. Even I grew up with 50s stuff like Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, all them cats. But the 60s is what kind of captures me. So I started getting into like the Kinks and the Doors, obviously. But some of the lesser known, I'm a B band kind of guy. So I like the surf rocky, nitty gritty stuff that not too many people know about as much as the Beatles. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. You've definitely been influenced by greats of that era. And,
yeah, they're all great. Yeah, Motown especially. Oh, I love Motown.
Oh, hopefully, like this album, it's definitely a blast for the past for me. And the way I heard your creative process, how it came to be, it's how they did it back then, and it's how you had that authentic sound of the music. I hope that that's like, I hope people remember, they think about it and they remember when they listen to the album. I hope more people get to it, because there's definitely a lot of emotional work into it. It's very good. And with that, we're going to end the guitar segment half, and we're going to go into the intermission with a song that I asked Alexander Stone to pick. It's from the same album. Alexander, which song are we going into the intermission with?
We're going to go with Captain's Hat, because it's the pretty politically charged one. There's a lot of great songs on the album, but that one lyrically is suitable. All
right, perfect. So we're going to go into Captain's Hat from the Rockupiers album by the Rockupiers. And with that, we'll go into the intermission and we'll go to the political segment. We'll be right back.